Thursday night is here again, a little after 10:15. The wife's asleep, the children too. That leaves a man with one thing to do. Bring out the laptop, it's time for your date. Settle in and learn your fantasy fate. With a bang, Eddie welcomes you in. He turns his hat, then it's time to begin. The week that was, you might rather forget. Who is the dud and who is the jet? Start the weekend with a dose of the anchor, and laugh your ass off at weekly wanker. Like Federer down at the cots, here's your serve of Thursday thoughts. Like a hobo eating his watts, here's your fill of Thursday thoughts. Like a fat guy putting on shorts, you'll split your sides at Thursday thoughts.
Welcome back for season 2015. This is Thursday Thoughts with Eddie Anchor. I'm your host, Eddie Anchor. I'm absolutely fucking pumped for the new season. It is going to be a cracker of a year. First things first, off-season news. As you may know, we've changed over from Supercoach to Ultimate Team. The reason we've done this is the new point structure. We've actually got spoils. Who doesn't want spoils? All of a sudden we've got a whole new range of players that are actually relevant to the game. Josh Gibson was in fact the best rated defender in the competition last year by our new point system. It's going to be a cracker. Second of all, we'd like to welcome two new coaches to the league. We've got Trev and Willow. They're going to be a great addition to the new league. We're now up to 14 teams in the competition. Certainly made draft day very, very interesting. There was a lot of waiting between draft picks, a lot of bored coaches. It became a draft of attrition, really, who was able to pay attention for the longest. As you'll probably see, I'm about to go through and review every team from the draft. Some coaches took a little while to cotton on because they faded out pretty quickly. Alright, we're going to go through them line by line. We're going to start off with pick one, Bunger. First of all, the structure will be, we'll go through their top and bottom three players, a couple of key points, and then the overall rating. So, Bunger, for example, his top three players are Gary Ablett, Joe Watson, and Todd Goldstein. Now that is a solid core three players. The bottom three though, Chrissy Yarren, Tommy Bellchambers, and Brett Goods. Could be a few up and down scores there, or if Brett Goods even gets a game. Alright, couple of key points. Point number one, his team is old. So old. Why would he pick so many old players? Dustin Fletcher, he's so long in the tooth he's tripping over him. Bunger is the coach. That's the second key point. It's the one thing we have to remember. Every year he manages to put together a really good team at the draft, and then he just likes to tinker, and he breaks his team by about round 5. Injury central. Bunger needs to make sure that his players stay on the park. With Fletcher, Michael Johnson, Chris Yarren, Whitey, and Harley Bennell, there's a few injuries there that can certainly be had. Overall though, draft rating for Bunger's team is an A+. I was actually personally surprised at how well he drafted. He's done an exceptional job this year. He's covered all the key areas with quality players. He's got 2 possible standout captains. He's got a solid defence. Basically, the only way he's going to stuff this up this year is himself. And now we move on to Ben's team. So it's sort of top of the spectrum, bottom of the spectrum here, because Ben's top 3 players are Dane Swan, Dustin Martin, and Nick Malcheski. Bottom 3 players though were Ben Reid, Matt Shaw, and Kurt Tippett. 3 key points. Ben's got a team for the broken-hearted. Tom Scully, Ben Reid, Reece Shaw, Kurt Tippett, Mitch Clark. The list goes on. All of them could be out by round 2. The problem with the players there that I just named, they've always promised so much. Mitch Clark was going to break the game apart, and then he just broke apart himself. And Tom Scully's on $1 million a year and can't get a kick. No genuine captain. That's also a problem for Ben's team. Because he decided to go key positions with his early picks, he doesn't really have a standout 120, 130 player on his list to go with the captain every week. He's got Dane Swan and Dustin Martin. Hopefully Dustin Martin, for his sake, can move into that really elite category this year with his scoring. We've also got a team that could have been champions. It's the who's who of underperformers year after year. Kurt Tippett again, Scully, Mitch Clark, Harry O is another one. He's always promised so much and delivered so little. Tom Lynch, the Ranger, Big T Lynch, personal favourite of mine. He's always promised so much and he just keeps breaking his neck. Fingers crossed he can keep his head out of the freaking kitchen this year and just get a fucking kick. All of them are going to need career best years this year to help Ben's team along. Overall draft rating, C-. Barely a pass. Only saving grace is that his weakest area is his forward line, and it's quite easy to bolster. I say forward line, I meant midfield. Quite strong with some of the best defenders and the best forwards in the competition, but he's going to need some luck with injuries because he's very thin on the ground. Tricky Mickey, top 3, Joel Selwood, Shane Mumford and Alex Rance. His bottom 3 is terrible. James Gwilt, the X Factor. Jakey Carlisle and Jack Watts. That is a genuine who's who of bottom 3s. Key points about Tricky's team. He has got one of the best midfields going around. It has got some serious firepower in there. And Adam Treloar is just one, to name a few. One of the main benefactors of the Essendon saga has been Tricky, with Hibbert and Carlisle both now free to play. He got them very late in the draft compared to how good they are, and that could be a big bonus for Tricky. Got a very weak forward line. Elliott is anchoring the entire forward line for him, but that can also be a positive thing because he's bolstered up all his other lines, and with so many good options up forward this year with young players, a lot of young talent, Jesse Hogan, Christian Salem and the like. There's a lot of good players he can bring in. A perfect place to be weak this year. Overall rating for Tricky, a B+. He's got a lock-in captain, he's got a gun ruck, he's got 2 gun defenders, and he's got minimal weaknesses. I reckon Tricky could go very close to winning it this year. Big Trev. We move on to Big Trev. His top 3 players are genuinely good. Nate Fife. Oh, Fifey. Oh, Fifey. Jackie Redden. One of Robbo's favourites. And Jordan Burke. Ah. He's out. What? Oh, okay. Apparently Trev's dropped Jordan Burke. I don't know what was going on there. He had an average of like 87. Okay, well that makes Bryce Gibbs, number 3 player. Bottom 3. Matt Crouch, David McKay. Jesus Christ. I never thought I'd see the day that David McKay was drafted. All the way with David McKay. And old Crispy, old TAB Crispy. Doesn't mind a punt, the old lad. Hopefully he's betting against the Pies a fair bit this year. He'll be cashed up to the eyeballs. Key points. Trev's a new guy. Just give him a spell. At least for a week. See how he goes. Point 2. Trev is also the first person to ever draft David McKay. Ever. We've actually got photographs of David McKay's household the day he was drafted. It was an exciting time for the lad. He was wrapped. Poor old Trev's going to get stuck watching too many Freo games this year. We've got Aaron Sandilands, Nate Fife, and the big Pav. It's going to be tough watching. Nobody wants to watch Freo play. They're fucking horrible. Overall rating for Trev, a solid C. He's pretty much the Brisbane Lions of the league. He's got a gun ruck, gun midfield, shit house up front, and shit house down back. Alright, now we move on to Tom. Tom's top 3, Pendles, Mark Murphy and Nath Jones. Now that's 3 seriously good players. His bottom 3, Daisy Thomas, and she was Sean Grigg and Mark J. Marr. The key points. He's got a super deep midfield. He's got Stephen Hill at M7. He's pushing for the claims to have the best midfield in the competition. He may have gone a little early though and wasted all his picks on midfielders because he's struggling elsewhere. As with anything else, this gun midfield's going to come at a price. Like I said, gun midfield, but also what looks to be the worst forward line in the competition as well. Again, like I said about Tricky's team, not a bad position to be weak in. There's plenty of good young players coming through that area this year, so could be able to bolster that up. Also like Bunga, he likes to tinker. He'll find a way to fuck up a pretty good team pretty quick. Overall rating, a B-. Has left himself very vulnerable up forward, and we'll need to make sure he gets the captain's pick right every week. With so many good midfielders, it's going to be hard to choose which one to pick. Alright, now we move on to Steve's team. His top 3 players: Dane Beams, Toby Green, and genuinely struggling to find a third. Shannon Hearn, maybe. Bunga Hearn. Alright, Bunga Hearn's his third best player. His bottom 3. Just let me scroll down a little bit. I've got to choose from a long, long list. Alright, Tom Hickey, Sammy Kerridge, and James Frawley. James Frawley's going to be a bust this year, not only for Hawthorn, but for Steve's team as well. He's a fucking dud. Absolute dud. Wait and see. Mark my words. We will play this in the last episode. Key points. It's hard to imagine that Steve and anybody else was actually at the same draft. You look at all these other good quality teams, even the new blokes. What a terrible team Steve's put together. Without even looking at the next group of teams, pretty comfortable to proclaim that this is the worst forward line in the league. Unlike the other two, no matter how much talent there is in the forward free agent pool this year, nothing's safe in this forward line. I'm also fairly comfortable to proclaim this is the worst ruck division in the league as well. It just stinks. The team sucks. Overall rating, an F- with a lock. The early selections of Jack Zeeble and the bird is the word, puzzled a few other coaches. They got a few free kicks there after picking after Steve. Good news is, the new waiver rule will help Steve because he'll get first pick every single week. With 23 rounds, he might be able to replace his whole team by the time we get to the end of the season. Alright, now we move on to Chris. His top 3, Brett Deledio, Matty Prittis, and Jared McVeigh. I like all 3 of those players, especially Deledio. I reckon the Delids is absolutely cherry ripe for a cracking year this season. Bottom 3, Mitchie Robinson. He's a loose cannon. He'll be out of the team in a couple of weeks. Jack Viney, he'll punch someone. And Daniel Cross, he'll break something. Key points. Chris is actually like the Mario character out of Mario Kart. He's pretty good in every area, but not exceptional in any. He has got a lot of potential to improve with the likes of Daisy Thomas, Leuenberger, Tom Langdon. I reckon all 3 of them can probably increase their overall average from last year up by at least 10 to 15. A versatile lineup. Now this is going to be the key. With the new rules where you can't drop players after the start of every Saturday game, the first Saturday game, the fact that he's got plenty of dual position players means he'll be able to swap a lot of players around and plug holes if he needs to. Overall rating, I'm going with a solid A. Very impressive lineup. There's a team full of guys who I think can get the job done. He'll only get beaten by really, really high scoring teams on freak weeks, I reckon. It could be a bit of an issue come finals when you get the knockout system. A couple of freak weeks might finish him off, but other than that, I reckon Chris is pretty much a lock for top 4 this year. Alright, now we move on to Robbo. Top 3. Sloan. The fuck are you doing, Robbo? Fucking trading Sloan for Goddard. Anyway, alright. So now his top three is not Sloan because he's gotten rid of Sloan. Cochin. Apparently Isaac Smith's going to be second best player now because he ain't got nobody else. And Harry Taylor. I reckon Harry Taylor's going to have a good year as well. The new point structure with the effective kicking I reckon is really going to help him. Bottom three, Isaac Heaney, probably untested. Not so sure how he's going to break into the midfield of that team. Hamish McIntosh, not sure how he's going to not break down in that team. And Eddie Betts, I'm not too sure how he's not going to get broken in that team. Alright, key points. This is the second year in a row that Robbo's thrown away his best player. So, if you all recall last year, he threw away Nate Fife, who went on to average 120. And then he's come along. Hang on a second. We're going to have to take a pause there, and we'll come right back after these special messages.